First, fair, everywhere. 19 News starts now.
Good Sunday morning, and thank you for joining us. I'm Sia Nyorkor. Now, we're hearing of a shooting on the east side. Our Jorge Ramos Pontoya is in the newsroom with some information. Good morning, Jorge. Thank you, Jorge. Now, here's an ugly story involving former Buckeyes quarterback Terrell Pryor. He's in stable condition after being stabbed in his Pittsburgh apartment by his girlfriend, Shayla Briston. Now, Briston is charged with aggravated assault and attempted homicide. Pryor is charged with simple assault. According to a report, Terrell was initially in critical condition after being stabbed in the shoulder and chest, but according to his agent, he's expected to make a full recovery. Now, we're getting new information about a terrible crash that happened at I-77 and 490 this week. A driver and two children were seriously hurt in that accident. A 3-year-old child had head injuries. Paramedics rushed all three to Metro Health for treatment. Police tell us the three of them were not wearing seatbelts. Now, as soon as we know more about their conditions, we'll update you on air and online and the 19 News app. Now, take a look at this little guy. This is Franz, and Franz is missing after his owner was carjacked at gunpoint. Yes, the thieves took off with the dog, still in the car. I talked to his owner, who is frantically trying to find him. Happening tomorrow, a former Cleveland Metropolitan School teacher accused of groping a student is scheduled to stand trial. 36-year-old Sharmir Oglesby is facing several charges, including gross sexual imposition. The former educator has been instructed not to have any contact with the teenage victim. CMSD fired Oglesby this past January after charges were filed. Rescuers in Arizona recovered the bodies of two children who were swept away by rushing water. They are still searching for a third missing child. The two 5-year-olds and one 6-year-old were in a vehicle with 4 other children and 2 adults. They were trying to cross a creek. Investigators say floodwaters overtook the vehicle, which was found mostly completely submerged later that night. A woman from that car made it across the creek on her own.
We're actively looking up and down the streams, around the islands in the area, so hopefully soon that we will find this last one that we're looking for.
Rescuers also saved a man and 4 children who were stranded on a small island. A plane crash in South Dakota leaves several people dead. The plane went down shortly after takeoff Saturday in Chamberlain during heavy snowfall. That's west of Sioux Falls. There were 12 people on board. 9 were killed, including the pilot and 2 children. 3 people survived the crash and have been taken to the hospital. The Federal Aviation Administration and the National Transportation Safety Board are investigating. A Michigan police officer was shot 3 times and is in stable but critical condition. This comes after they said he was in a fight with a man that was on the run from the law. Police were called to a home overnight for a screaming child. When they arrived on the scene, no one would let them in. From there, police spotted Andre Yarborough, who was 9 outstanding warrants. An hour later, shots were fired and an officer was down and injured. The suspect was eventually arrested after police caught him hiding out in a nearby apartment. The officer is expected to make a full recovery. 2 teenage boys were shot outside the National Zoo's light exhibit in Washington, D.C. after it closed early due to police responding to multiple incidents at that zoo. It was initially reported that police were responding to shots fired at the zoo, but police denied this, saying they had a call for fireworks. Later, 2 shootings occurred a block south of the National Zoo entrance. That's shortly after zoo lights closed early.
At this time, they're not life-threatening. They're in critical but stable condition, and they've been transported to area hospitals.
Police are still investigating this shooting, and as of now, they have not made any arrests. The United Auto Workers Union reached a tentative deal with Fiat Chrysler. dodging a potential strike, a deal that would bring almost 8,000 new jobs over a 4-year span. This deal marks the last round of negotiations with the 3 big Detroit automakers, including those talks with General Motors, which led to a 6-week-long strike. Thousands of people in Texas who were rocked by a pair of explosions are returning home this weekend. A fire at a chemical plant has been contained, but people are still being asked to avoid that immediate area. As Omar Villafranca reports, air quality is now a major concern. All right, the Browns have a big game today, and the Buckeyes wipe the floor with that team up north. We've got sports highlights coming up next. Stay with us.
19 News First, fair everywhere. Live from the 19 News Center, driven by Don Joseph Toyota in Kent. This is 19 News.
All right, welcome back. The Browns take on the Steelers, and Ohio State went crazy against that team up north. Tony Zarella is in to break down all those highlights.
Morning, everybody.
All right, thank you, Tony. Now we have 19 sports reporter Mark Schwab, who's out in Pittsburgh today. Let's toss it out to him to tell us more about this game. Good morning, Schwabi.
Good morning. I'll tell you what, it is a little bit of a chilly, windy, cold morning here in Pittsburgh, but they are going to play ball out here.
All right, thank you, Schwabi. Think Freddie's ready for today. The Browns head coach caught rocking a Pittsburgh Started It t-shirt. An obvious reference to the drama that broke out here a couple of weeks ago. The Browns say Freddie didn't mean for anyone to see this. His family gave it to him for his birthday as a joke, and he wore it when he took them to the movies the other night. It's okay. Shoppers are out supporting small businesses all weekend, but some went by to support these future small business owners at a special pop-up store in Cleveland's Glenville neighborhood. Now, this is the Dare to Believe marketplace hosted by the group Teen Enterprise. These kids say they want to show what their community would look like if neighbors invested in the next generation of entrepreneurs. And here's another great story. Some local families able to keep warm this winter thanks to the Winter Wrap COAT-A-THON. That's in Beachwood. It was sponsored by FX Media Solutions. This is the 7th year they've done it, collecting coats, hats, gloves, and scarves for over 100 families in the Cleveland area. Great work. All right, our Adopt a Pet segment is coming up next, and you won't want to miss these furry cuties.
19 News First, fair everywhere. Adopt a Pet, sponsored by Foot Solutions. Rejuvenate your soul.
Welcome back. It's time for our Adopt a Pet segment brought to you by Foot Solutions. And today we have the wonderful people from the Humane Society of Summit County here with us. Good morning to you guys.
Good morning.
And who do we have?
We have two awesome puppies for you. Well, one puppy, one full-grown dog.
Yeah.
This is Ernest over here, and the puppy is Otis.
Otis. Isn't that cute? Ernest and Otis, y'all.
And we don't get a lot of puppies, so he's about 4 months. That's kind of a rarity for our shelter. We thought we'd bring him out for a field trip today.
A 19 consumer alert now, so check your fridges. There's a recall on some deli meats sold right here in Ohio. Bluegrass Quality Meats is recalling more than 100,000 pounds of pork bacon and ready-to-eat turkey products. The products contain soy, a possible allergen, which is not listed on the label. These recalled products were produced between October 29th and November 19th. You can take them back to the store for a refund. The students at a Florida high school were the first in the world to dissect synthetic frogs. Instead of living, breathing frogs, biology students at J.W. Mitchell High School in Newport Richey made history by using man-made ones. PETA worked with a Tampa company to create the frogs. They want schools to move away from using real frogs. The drawback is that these synthetic frogs cost $150 a piece. But the good news is that there is no smell and no need for the use of hazardous chemicals.
19 News First, fair everywhere.
Tomorrow is Cyber Monday, one of the biggest shopping days of the year, but the Better Business Bureau wants to remind everyone online shopping has its risks. In 2018, American consumers spent a record-breaking $7.9 billion online. That's just on Cyber Monday alone. Scammers are aware of that, and they do want to take advantage. So the Better Business Bureau says, watch out for false advertising. Keep a close eye on your purchases and make sure you aren't visiting fake websites. All right, now 'tis the season for porch pirates. As more and more Americans shop online, there are more opportunities to rip off home deliveries. Nationally, San Francisco tops the list for most thefts, followed by Salt Lake City, Baltimore, Seattle, Austin, and Denver. The only Ohio city to make the top 50 was Columbus at number 29. Experts say either install a doorbell camera or have packages delivered to your workplace. All right, when you think about all the GPS, the global positioning system, how it's made our lives easier and our commutes faster, it's hard to imagine what we would do without it. But just how does GPS actually work, and how many things in our lives depend on it? Coming up on Sunday morning, David Pogue has the answers. David Pogue explains GPS plus a family of 7, every one of whom is a professional model. Legendary actors Anthony Hopkins and Jonathan Pryce on their upcoming movie, The Two Popes. All that and more coming up on Sunday morning with Jane Pauley at 9 a.m. right here on Channel 19. Now, this is a story we first reported last week, and it has made it to the New York Times, and we are so proud. You may remember a group of North Olmsted students discovered the remains of about a dozen African Americans buried in unmarked graves at a local cemetery. It was part of a school project. Now, those who were once forgotten will be recognized. Take a look. What's it like to be known? That's what a group of now freshmen wondered when their 8th grade project discovered a grave injustice right here in North Olmsted.
It's super surprising. It shocked me at first because I was like, this can't be true. There's no way.
These students were studying for a language, arts, and history project about some of the city's first African-American residents. The students told me they had a hard time gathering info about the Peak and Cousins families.
We couldn't find one thing on them, nothing at all, not names, not who they were, their families, nothing.
Their months-long research brought them here to the historic Butternut Ridge Cemetery, where it all came to a standstill.
Just saw just
grass.
Space.
Just an area in the back, nothing there.
It's like a rectangle space, nothing there.
They discovered about a dozen members of the families were buried here in unmarked graves.
With our teachers teaching us about marginalized groups, it was super surprising that we found that in our own community.
The students met with the mayor of North Olmsted, who encouraged them to right this wrong. They continued to raise awareness and made headlines. Over the summer, their teacher, Debbie Haleko, got a call from a local cemetery memorial company. It wanted to donate a stone to recognize the people buried in those unmarked graves.
They just couldn't let it go. It was something that they felt there was a wrong done, and they wanted to make it right somehow.
Monday afternoon, the students will unveil this marker to the community with an inscription that they wrote. They told me they are proud.
Everyone's life is important. Everyone wants to be remembered, and this project helped that.
Now, the students' goal was to make sure that those once forgotten in North Olmsted will always be remembered. Kudos to those students and their teachers. Thanks so much for staying with us this Sunday morning. We will be right back.
19 News first, fair everywhere.
Check this out. Scuba Santa has arrived at the Greater Cleveland Aquarium in the Flats. That's right. He's underwater snapping cell phone selfies while he visits with the angelfish, the stingrays, and even the baby sharks. And on his nice list, there are plenty of activities for kids, too. He'll be there every weekend through December 22nd.
How cool is that?
I know. I might go see Scuba Shark.
You're looking at
Scuba
sharks,
Santa.
and then all of a sudden there comes Santa.
There he is. Boom.
All right, let's take a look at 7-day forecast. It's not too bad, right? First 7 days of December right here. Now, there will be a few additional showers coming through during the second half of the day, so I know it's not raining terribly now. There's a little light stuff out there in Cleveland. That's going to move out here shortly. Then mid-afternoon, we get another round of rain. Windy this morning, but the wind should back off this afternoon. Keep that umbrella closed. Wintry mix tomorrow. We get a break on Tuesday, but another system comes in Wednesday to bring us another wintry mix.
All right, well, thank you so much for watching 19 News this morning. Joel Olstein is next, followed by CBS Sunday Morning. Have a great day.